Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Jewelry Resellers Podcast. My name is Desiree, and yes, I am your jewelry reselling bestie. Today, we are going to talk about the art of writing your jewelry listings or how to describe your jewelry in a way to get those pieces sold. Now, I'm actually kind of surprised that I haven't done an episode on this particular topic so far because what I've noticed as it relates to resellers when they're doing their listings, I kind of see two extremes, either just a few words thrown in the description of the listing, or you see the opposite where somebody will write a paragraph, maybe two or three paragraphs, describing the jewelry piece. So today we're going to talk about that and we're going to figure out some things that we need to keep in mind as it relates to making a really strong listing for your jewelry, especially if you are selling it online. Because remember, our buyers don't have the advantage of seeing the piece in person. So they're going to rely not only on our photographs, but they're going to rely on our detailed descriptions of the piece. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty of that today. But before we get started, I always like to remind you to head on over to our website, which is jewelryresellerspodcast.com, because over there you can listen to all of the past episodes. I also have some really helpful articles that pertain to jewelry and having or running a jewelry reselling business. And you can also sign up for our newsletter where you can get instant access to a free download that I created. And that's the 20 best-selling vintage jewelry brands that I think all resellers should know. So if you are interested in any of those things, I would love it if you head on over to the website. Again, that is jewelryresellerspodcast.com. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the art of describing jewelry, writing listings that sell. Okay, so remember, everything we do as it relates to our jewelry reselling business is with the intention of making the sale. I think sometimes, because I know this has happened to me, where we get a little sidetracked and we get really caught up in the prettiness and the fun of reselling jewelry. But remember, the goal is always to be to make the sale, right? And if we want to take it a step further, the goal is always to make a profitable sale. All right, so let's go ahead and yes, we're going to do a deep dive on listings today, but I also want you to really think like when you are writing your descriptions and your listings and when you're describing your piece, are you as thorough and as careful as you could be? Or do you kind of just do the bare minimum? I've done that. I admit, I'm not perfect and I've been lazy a time or two in my day, but I'm getting better at that. And so that's why I wanted to focus on listings because I do think this really matters. And once you can perfect this art, I really think it's going to take your listings to the next level. All right, so we're going to talk about, like I said, a crucial part of running a successful jewelry reselling business, and that is the art of writing jewelry descriptions that sell. We all know that beautiful photos are essential, but words are just as important, and the right description can make the difference between a browser and a buyer. All right, so grab a notebook because I'll be sharing a lot of actionable tips in this episode that will help you create really compelling listings that convert. So, the first thing we want to think about is why do descriptions matter? Why are descriptions in our listings so important? In a physical store, a customer can hold a piece of jewelry, see it up close, feel the weight, and even try it on in some cases. But online buyers really, they really depend on our description to provide all of that information. And so, our job as jewelry resellers is to paint a picture in their mind and highlight the quality and really secure that trust that they are getting exactly what they want. So, a well written description is also key for search engine optimization, also known as SEO. So, that will help people find your jewelry too. Okay, so we want to make sure that we are remembering those 2 points. It's being as accurate as possible, but also helping our jewelry listings get found by the search engines. All right, so let's break down the main goals of a jewelry description. First, you want to accurately describe the product. This includes the materials, the size, if applicable, the weight, and any important features or flaws. You also want to highlight what makes this piece special. Now, this you're going to have to kind of use your discretion because sometimes you'll have something that really is stand out about the piece, and other times maybe not so much. Maybe it's just a simple gold chain or something like that, and there really isn't anything too outstanding about it. But sometimes those basic pieces, we need to make sure we describe them as well too. All right, so you also want to make it easy for potential buyers to imagine themselves wearing the piece or gifting the piece, whatever the case may be. All right, so the right words can sell not just a piece of jewelry, but also the experience of owning it or gifting it or collecting it. All right, so let's move on to point number two. And right now, we're going to talk about the basic elements of a great description. So, this is where we really get into the nuts and bolts of a jewelry listing. Every description should contain a few key elements to cover the basics, and I'll walk you through these first before we get into some of the more creative aspects of writing a jewelry listing. All right, so the first thing we want to make sure that we include, and I think everybody knows this, but I'll start here in case you don't. We want to make sure we include the type of jewelry it is. Now, surprisingly, I have seen some listings that don't include this. You'll see listings all kinds of ways on eBay or anywhere really. So you don't want to either be rushing or maybe not know enough and you don't include the basic things. But remember, we want to include as much information as possible without it being too full of fluff. All right, so the type of jewelry is important. Start by clearly stating what the piece is. Is it a necklace, a bracelet, a pair of earrings, or a ring, or a brooch, or whatever? You want to be specific if it's a certain style. Like, is it a pair of chandelier earrings or is it a pendant necklace? This helps buyers immediately kind of filter through exactly, what it is that they're looking for. All right. The second thing you want to include in your jewelry listings is whatever the materials are. All right. So be specific about the materials that are used in the jewelry piece that you're listing. Is it 14 karat gold? Is it 925 silver? Is it gold plated? Are there real gemstones? Or is it diamonds? Is it cubic zirconia, rhinestones, like whatever it is. All right, because we want to make sure that we are not only being as honest as we can be, but like I said, we want to make sure we are as detailed as we can be. All right, buyers want to know exactly what they're getting, especially when it comes to precious metals and stones. Now, the third thing we want to make sure we include are size and dimensions. Measurements are extremely important. List the length of the necklaces, the size of the rings, or the dimensions of the earrings. You also want to make sure you include, is it a clip-on? Is it pierced? Those types of things. You can also mention the weight if it's relevant. Sometimes this is going to be important. Other times it won't be, again, depending on what type of jewelry you are selling. Sometimes a heavier piece will indicate better quality, but for earrings, a lot of buyers prefer lightweight pieces. All right. So again, just make sure, it's applicable to whatever it is that you're listing. Number four, we want to make sure we include the condition. Is the piece new? Is it vintage? Is it antique? Is there a flaw? Is there damage? Has it been repaired? All right. If it's pre-owned, are there any signs of wear? Is there anything missing, like stones or a broken clasp or anything like that? All right. Always be honest about the condition. And I really want to stress too that just because your jewelry piece may not be pristine and perfect, it doesn't always mean that someone won't buy it. I have sold a lot of damaged, broken, missing stone jewelry pieces to people who either know how to repair the piece themselves and they pick it up for a great deal, or some people literally buy broken junk jewelry for craft projects or, whatever. Okay, so as long as you are upfront about the condition and any type of flaws or problems or any issues with the piece, you should not have any problems. All right, we just don't want to misrepresent anything because we don't want to have to deal with an unhappy buyer or returns if we can avoid it. All right, so number five, what you want to include in your listings is brand or marking or hallmark if there are any, if it is. If the jewelry is from a known brand or designer, make sure to mention that. Jewelry by well-known designers often has more value, and sometimes people will scroll and search specifically by designer. All right, so we want to make sure we include that too. Finally, we want to add any type of special features as it relates to the jewelry piece. Does the piece have any unique elements? Is there a hidden clasp, adjustable sizing? Does it have any type of intricate designs or anything like that? Anything that makes the piece stand out or makes it really unique, we want to make sure we mention that. All right, so these are the basics. Let me go over them again of what we want to include in our jewelry listings. Okay, number one, the type of jewelry. Number two, the materials. Number three, the size and dimensions. Number four, the condition. Number five, the brand, if there is one. And number six, any special features or unique things about the jewelry piece. All right, so these are the basics, but I just want to encourage you that if you can include this, you're probably going to be better than, I want to say, 75 to 80% of the jewelry resellers out there, because most people will not take the time to do this. You know, and I understand that too, because if you have thousands of jewelry pieces, pieces listed, you may not have time to to really be this thorough in your listings. But if you're listing 5 pieces a day or 10 pieces a day, you should be able to include this for the most part. All right, and like I said, that's going to put you so much further ahead of the other jewelry resellers who don't do anything, as it relates to their descriptions, or they do just, very, very, very minimal basic stuff. All right, so now here is where we can get fun. All right, so a lot of you know that I primarily sell my jewelry via live selling. And because of that, because I'm talking and I'm engaging and I'm showing the piece in real time, it gives me a little bit of an opportunity to talk about the jewelry piece, to share what I know about the piece. Now, if you are not doing live selling, this may not apply to you, or maybe maybe you want to include some storytelling or background information about the jewelry piece. All right, so we talked about the basic things, the things that I think are important and crucial for your jewelry listings. But the stuff we're talking about now is not necessarily a must do. But like I said, in certain situations, like for me in live selling, this could be really fun, and this could actually kind of give me an advantage because I actually can communicate what I know about the piece. All right, so let's talk about that. We're going to talk about storytelling as it relates to selling your jewelry. A strong narrative helps your buyer connect emotionally with the piece. All right. And let me explain how you can turn a straightforward description into a story that could captivate your buyers. Now, remember, I usually do this in a live selling format, but it's not limited to that. If you have your own website, or maybe you just feel like being a little creative with your listings on platforms like eBay or Poshmark or Etsy, they give you plenty of room in the description to do that if that is what you want to do. All right, so the first thing you can do is tell the backstory if you know it. Again, if the piece is antique or vintage, you can share the history, or maybe you've done some research and you've learned about the piece and you've kind of discovered some interesting things that you'd like to share. I do this all the time, especially when I'm researching pieces or designers or eras. I will share what I learned with my potential buyers during my live shows. The other thing you want to do is, and this is a lot of fun, and I've seen other resellers do this, is you want to kind of create a lifestyle image with the jewelry. In other words, you may want to paint a picture of how this piece can be worn or how it can be styled, or maybe how it would look with a certain type of outfit, or maybe with a certain color of outfit. All right, so you want to maybe say something like, this delicate gold chain is perfect for layering with your other favorite gold necklaces, or something like that, and because people will ask you. I have had this many times, especially in my live shows, where people will say, oh, that's such a beautiful necklace. Do you think it would look good with a red blouse? Or do you think it would look good with a strapless dress or something like that? And so people will ask for your opinion or maybe your input on how to style a particular jewelry piece. All right, the next thing you want to do is use descriptive language. I think we've kind of already talked about this. You can be very colorful, I guess, as it relates to your descriptions. So instead of saying something like, oh, these are bluestone earrings, you can say something like, these sapphire blue earrings evoke a deep sense of gazing into the ocean. Now, maybe that's a little bit overly dramatic, but you get the idea, right? You can have a lot of fun with this and you can be really creative and you can really paint a picture and get your buyers, really interested in what it is you're selling. And sometimes people will shop with you just because they love your creativity and they see that you're having fun. All right, next step, we want to talk about the emotional appeal. Now, jewelry, remember, is a very sentimental item. And when people buy jewelry, a lot of times it's for a gift, for someone they really care about, maybe their mom, sister, girlfriend, wife, whatever the case may be. So a lot of times we want to emphasize that too, that we can let people know, this would make a beautiful Valentine's Day gift, or this would be a beautiful Mother's Day gift, graduation gift, whatever. Just giving people ideas on, maybe they didn't think about buying it at that time for something, or maybe, you just reminded them that they do have a birthday coming up and they need to pick up a gift. Well, that beautiful rhinestone bracelet that you're selling could be the perfect answer for them. All right. So you want to kind of touch on that and really present your jewelry as a solution. Okay. And this will take time for you to learn and it will take time for you to get comfortable with. But again, it's about really servicing our buyers and giving them what they want and then describing it in a way that they understand and that they're receptive to. All right, so moving on, the last thing we want to do is a call to action. Again, this may or may not apply if you are not selling in a live show. You can also do this in a written format as well, but I always like to kind of let the customer know or like invite the buyer to check out some of my other jewelry pieces, or if they're interested in making a purchase with me today, please let me know if they're looking for something specific or whatever. I like to always invite the buyer to make the sale in whatever way feels natural to you. Like I said, because I'm doing a live show, sometimes I will say, "Oh, are you interested in me running this piece for you?" Because it's usually an auction format. And a lot of times my buyers will say, "Oh, yes, that looks great. Go ahead and run it." Or they will say, "Oh, I'd like to buy that, but I also want to look at some other things. So go ahead and start a pile or start a bundle for me." All right. So invite your buyers to bundle or combine, orders so you can save them some shipping costs. Or just say, hey, if you don't see anything you like here, please check out my other listings because I have more of these types of necklaces, earrings, whatever the case may be, right? So it's going to take you some time to figure out what works for you, what works for your store, what works with your personality. But you always want to invite the buyer to buy. All right. And like I said, it'll take a little bit of practice, but once you do it a few times, it'll feel very, very natural. All right, so now we're going to get into what I like to call the techie side, and this is all about SEO. All right, so we want to remember to Focus on keywords that are going to be SEO friendly. All right. And again, this will take some practice and this will take some time for you to learn exactly what people are searching for and then how to structure your listing so people find what they're looking for with the keywords that you're using. Okay? So we're going to talk about search engine optimization, which is SEO. And your description isn't just for your potential buyers, it's also for search engines. Okay, so the better your SEO, the higher your listing will rank in search results, meaning more potential buyers will be able to see it and buy it. All right. So there's SEO. There's kind of two layers. There's like the big SEO, in other words, Google or, the dominant search engines, Yahoo, Bing, whatever. There's that search engine. But then there's also the search engine within the platform that you're on, also known as the algorithm, I guess, in some cases. So we have the big search engine, Google. Then we have the secondary search engine, and that is the search engine on the platform that you're selling. For most of us, it's eBay. So we want to make sure that what we're writing is not only what people are searching for, but what people are searching for on that particular platform. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, so here's some tips for you to improve your SEO without sounding robotic. All right, so you want to use keywords naturally. All right, keywords are the terms that people search for, like vintage gold ring, handmade silver necklace. Be sure to include these naturally in your title and your description, but you don't want to overstuff or spam your titles. All right, that is highly frowned upon. And in some cases, it could work against you and your listings will be hidden because some algorithms or search engines will, they'll see all these keywords that don't really make sense. And sometimes that can be interpreted as spam. Okay. Now you also want to focus on long tail keywords. Okay. So instead of just typing in, say, gold necklace, um, you may want to use something like delicate gold necklace for layering, something like that. All right. Or 14 gold necklace women. All right. Because most people are going to be typing in, women's gold necklace or something like that. All right. So some of these longer phrases are more specific and often have less competition too. So you want to think about that when you're structuring your title and when you are adding those keywords to your description in your listing. Now, the other thing we want to think about, speaking of titles, is title optimization. Your title is crucial for SEO. Include the most important details like material type and any special features like we talked about. So, for example, you want to say sterling silver moonstone pendant necklace. Okay, that's a great title. I always like to include like whatever type of metal it is first. So if it's real gold, I'll put 14 karat gold bracelet, necklace, whatever. If it's not, I will write gold tone beaded necklace or whatever it is, but I always put whatever the metal is first if it's not a branded piece. So if it doesn't have any marking, if it's not a certain brand or designer or something like that, I will always put the metal first. And I usually put, if it is a vintage piece, I will put vintage gold tone necklace. All right. But if it's marked, like if it's Monet, I will put vintage Monet gold tone necklace and so on, and then all the other things. All right, so that's just how I do it. And it's worked really well for me. And I actually learned this from other successful jewelry resellers. And it's taken me a while. Sometimes you have to play around with the order of the words depending on, the platform and exactly what it is that you're describing. But if you follow that format, I think that you will find that it really works, and then you don't have too many like unnecessary words in your title. All right, so keep that in mind. Title optimization is very important. And then finally, we want to repeat the key details like we talked about earlier throughout the description. Repeat the key features of your product, material, size, style, because this helps search engines and reassures potential buyers. All right, so that is what we talked about as it relates to SEO. So remember, number one is to use keywords naturally. We don't want it like, I'm not really a huge fan of the AI descriptions that a lot of the platforms have integrated now, because I think they are not accurate, or they make the piece sound like something much more grander than what it actually is. And I don't want any buyers to be disappointed or have high expectations because AI wrote the description. So I'm not a big fan of it. I don't use it in any of my listings. Although, if you feel like it's accurate for the stuff that you're selling, then by all means use it. But from my experience, I just have not found it to be that great. And so until that gets a little bit better, I have chosen not to use AI to write my descriptions, at least not now. All right, so you also want to focus on the long tail keywords. We talked about that, title optimization, and then repeating the key details of that particular jewelry piece. All right, so let's talk about some common mistakes and how to avoid them. There's three things here that I want to point out to you, and I want to just share these because I want you to keep these in mind as you are writing your jewelry listings, okay? Because, you know, I know a lot of us are busy, and a lot of us, reselling jewelry is not the only thing we do. But if we are going to do it, we do want to put in the time and effort to make it as good as we possibly can make it. All right. So the three common mistakes that I see resellers making as it relates to their jewelry descriptions. Number one is being too vague. I've seen this, like I said earlier in the podcast. I've seen people do bare minimum descriptions. They will just write gold ring, size 7. And while it's accurate, it's not doing your listing any favors by being so vague and putting, 4 words for something that somebody potentially may want to invest in. All right. So simply saying beautiful ring is just not going to cut it. You want to give specific details and tell a story if it makes sense. And if you feel creative enough to do that, to help the buyer make a decision. Okay. So we don't want to be too vague. We want to give as much information as we can without overloading it. All right. Number two, the next mistake I see a lot of resellers making is ignoring the buyer's perspective. You want to write with your ideal customer in mind. If you were shopping for jewelry, what would you write? Or how would you look for whatever it is you're looking for? All right. So kind of come from that perspective. And I think it will help you get clear on how to describe your piece. All right. So write with your ideal customer in mind. Are they looking for a luxury piece or an everyday item? Tailor your language to match the style and needs of your target buyer. And finally, the third mistake I see a lot of resellers making is skipping proofreading, spelling errors, typos, grammatical errors. Now, while it's not going to be a deal breaker by any means if you have something amazing and somebody wants to buy it, but some buyers lose trust when the description is poorly written. Sometimes they think, oh, this person is a scammer because, a lot of times when you see those grammatical errors, you think it's a scam. Also, it seems like you don't take pride in your work if you don't even have a minute or two to just make sure that you have the spelling right, especially nowadays because they have autocorrect and spell check and all that. So try. I mean, of course, some mistakes are going to are going to fall through, of course, but do your best to really make sure that your description makes sense. You don't have any errors, and it's clear and it's easy to understand. All right. And that should not take you very long at all. All right. So we talked about a lot of things today as it relates to your jewelry listings and or your descriptions, because this is key, remember, in getting your jewelry pieces sold. All right. I know photos are highly important as well. But I think a strong photo along with a strong description will get your jewelry piece sold, and it will, bring the exact buyer that is looking for exactly what it is that you're selling. All right, so to wrap things up, remember that a jewelry description is more than just a list of facts. It's an opportunity to sell the experience of owning a beautiful piece. By blending accuracy, storytelling, if it makes sense, and SEO, you can create listings that not only attract buyers but convert them into longtime loyal customers. And that's really what we want. All right, so I think that's pretty much it. Let me go over my notes and make sure that I didn't forget anything because I really wanted to be as thorough as possible. You know, because I know when I was first starting out as a jewelry reseller, I struggled with my descriptions. I didn't know a lot of the things, as it relates to how to describe a piece of jewelry. I didn't know the different types of clasps or the different types of chains or the certain types of earrings, right? So all of that takes time to learn. And remember, there is an art to this. There's not, an exact one way that it has to be done. But this is something that you will develop over time the more you do it. And also the more you know, the more you learn about jewelry, the better your listings and descriptions will be. All right. So we covered a lot in this episode, and I would love to know your thoughts. I would love to know, do you have any tips on writing really good jewelry descriptions that you can share with the rest of us? Because I'm always looking for a better way to do what we do. And I would love to share it, so our community can possibly benefit from it as well. All right. So I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me. If you have any questions or if you have any ideas for topics for future podcast episodes, please let me know. You can leave me a comment on this video if you're watching it on YouTube, or if you're listening to the audio version, you can leave a comment on Spotify, or if that's not going to work, you can head on over to the website and there is a contact me page, and you can send me a message and or an email. All right. So again, thank you so much, friends, for hanging out with me today. And I will check in with you again really soon.